Mia Su and I, Liam Chun, grew up inseparable, true childhood sweethearts. Our parents often joked that we should get married when we grew up. She never denied it, and I always believed our hearts beat as one. Until another man entered her life. They skipped classes for dates, shared kisses on Ferris wheels. The day I saw them, I grabbed her hand, swallowing the bitter ache in my chest, and finally confessed my feelings. Mia looked at me, her eyes devoid of warmth. Liam, she said, using the familiar nickname that now felt like a wall. I only see you as a brother. Her gaze was clear, unwavering, emotionless. My instinct was to flee. Mom, I said later that day, I'm willing to go abroad for the expansion project. I started a new life, even found a new girlfriend. But then, she grasped my hand again, eyes red-rimmed, arms wrapped tightly around my waist. Liam, what do you take me for? I pulled her hands away, my expression cool and distant. Mia, you will always be my sister. Liam, have you really thought this through? Mom asked over the phone. Yes, Mom. I'm ready. I want to go overseas and handle the business expansion. All right. If you've made up your mind, I'll book your flight for a week from now. Make sure you settle everything here before you leave. Okay. After hanging up, I stood on the balcony, gazing at the window of the house opposite mine. It was dark. Its occupant wasn't home yet. After much hesitation, I picked up my phone and dialed Mia Su's number. It rang and rang, unanswered, eventually disconnecting. Did she dislike me so much now that she wouldn't even take my call? I took a deep breath, feeling the strength drain out of me. Slumping into a corner of the balcony, I lit a cigarette, the smoke curling into the night air. Halfway through, my phone buzzed. It was Mia calling back. Mia. Before I could say more, she cut me off. Liam, my boyfriend doesn't want to go home tonight. You know my parents won't allow him over. Could he maybe use your room to get into mine? My heart stuttered, a sharp, physical pain. Before I could respond, I heard another voice on her end. Wow, your rooms are so close. I might get jealous. Baby, don't be silly, Mia cooed back. He's just my brother. She didn't have time for me, hanging up abruptly. My hand holding the phone felt numb, frozen. I pushed myself up and walked back to the edge of the balcony. Down below, a perfect couple stood locked in an embrace, Mia Su and Kevin Fong. From my angle, it looked like they were kissing, a picture-perfect scene. I couldn't stop the burn in my eyes, the welling tears. We'd grown up side by side. Our parents, best friends themselves, always teased us about getting married. As kids, she'd asked softly, if we get married, can we play together forever? When told yes, she'd clenched her little fists. Then I want to marry brother Liam. I truly believed we would end up together. Until Kevin Fong appeared. She brought him to me, beaming. Brother Liam, let me introduce you. This is my boyfriend. I stared at her, incredulous. My eyes burned as I asked if she remembered our childhood promise. She brushed it off carelessly. That was just kids joking around. I only see you as a brother. Her eyes shone as she looked at Kevin. Liam, I really like Kevin. You'll wish us well, won't you? I don't know how I walked away that day. All I knew was the crushing weight in my chest, like my heart was collapsing. Her words twisted the dull ache into a sharp knife, making it hard to breathe. I ended up at a bar, drinking myself into oblivion. She came and found me, guiding my drunken self safely home. For a foolish moment, I dared to hope. Maybe I did hold a place in her heart, even if she hadn't realized it yet. The doorbell rang, jarring me back to the present. I opened the door. Mia and Kevin stood there together. She clasped her hands together, looking up at me pleadingly. Liam, please help me out. Her voice was soft, cajoling. My parents would never allow this, but you know, young couples, sometimes we can't control ourselves. My knuckles turned white as I gripped the doorknob, fighting to keep my emotions in check. Okay, I managed. Mia's eyes instantly lit up. Great. Thanks, Liam. I'll leave the arrangements to you. I need to get back before my parents get suspicious. She grabbed her bag and hurried off. When I turned back, Kevin raised an eyebrow at me. Brother Liam, got a minute? Our eyes met. Sit, I said, gesturing towards the living room and asking the housekeeper to bring water. Kevin didn't waste time. Liam, we're both men. Let's not beat around the bush. His tone was casual, almost friendly, but underlined with steel. Mia's a very innocent girl. She only sees you as a brother, and I don't want her to get hurt. So, he was here to mark his territory. I sat on the sofa opposite him, blowing coolly on the surface of my tea. We've known each other for over 20 years. I know her very well. What if I said I wasn't willing to let go? Kevin smirked, unbuttoning his collar slightly to reveal faint red marks on his neck. Doesn't matter how long you've known each other. You're just siblings. I'm the one who'll be with her. Forever. He gestured towards the marks. She can be quite wild sometimes, leaving me like this. He sighed dramatically. But I guess Brother Liam won't get to experience such a sweet burden. He was openly challenging me. I stood up, unwilling to listen further. That has nothing to do with me. If anyone had looked closely, they would have seen my hands trembling. He was right. Mia didn't love me. She only cared about Kevin. I led Kevin to my room, the one adjacent to hers with the connecting balcony access we sometimes used as kids. I watched him step out onto the balcony and pull my girl, the girl who held my heart, into his arms. Mia waved cheerfully at me. Bye-bye, Liam. We're going in now. Before I could utter a word, she led Kevin into her room through her own balcony door. I stood frozen in my own room. The familiar space suddenly felt alien and cold. Our parents were close friends and had bought houses next to each other. She was 3 years younger than me. When she was growing up, she often woke up hungry in the middle of the night. When I found out, I moved into this specific room, closer to hers, and kept it stocked with her favorite snacks. Looking around the stark black and white decor, a corner still held a basket where snacks used to be. The snacks were still there, but the person they were for had changed. Everything had changed. The little girl who used to sneak over for treats was lost to time. Only I remained. I whispered it silently to the empty room. Goodbye, Mia. I didn't sleep a wink that night. Imagine the girl you've loved since childhood spending the night with another man in the room right next to yours. What would you feel? I tried desperately to sleep, finally drifting off as the sky began to lighten. It felt like only moments later when voices from downstairs woke me. The housekeeper looked at me hesitantly. Miss Mia is here. I rubbed my temples, pulled myself together, and went downstairs. Mia and Kevin were sitting together on the sofa. Her eyes, when they landed on me, were icy cold, like she was looking at an enemy. She had never looked at me that way before. A tremor ran through me despite myself. Mia, what are you doing here? As the words left my mouth, she stood up, walked right up to me, and slapped me hard across the face. Liam, I never thought you'd do something like this. I stood there, stunned, utterly baffled by her accusation. Kevin came up beside her, putting a comforting arm around her. Mia, it's okay. Liam grew up with you. It's normal for him not to like me. My gaze shifted to Kevin. He was covered in bruises, looking like he'd been in a fight. Mia's eyes filled with disgust. Kevin went out for a bit this morning and came back like this. She glared at me. Liam, I know you don't like Kevin, but why would you do this? I frowned, trying to explain. I didn't. It wasn't me. I hadn't even left the house. Kevin chimed in quickly. Mia, it has nothing to do with Liam. I fell. Accidentally. He took her arm gently. Mia couldn't hold back anymore. She pointed a shaking finger at me. Apologize. Even though my heart had already grown cold towards her, seeing her blindly believe Kevin without question sent another wave of pain through me. You don't believe me? I asked, my voice low. But she had promised once, hadn't she? That even if I did something wrong, she would stand by me. A flicker of guilt crossed Mia's face, but looking back at Kevin's bruised face hardened her expression. Liam, you were clearly in the wrong this time. It had nothing to do with me. I finally shouted. I haven't seen him all morning. Kevin continued his act. Mia, don't misunderstand. Liam is your brother. I hope he can bless us. Mia clutched his hand, her eyes softening with pity. Kevin, you're too kind. She turned back to me, biting her lip, her eyes narrowed. Liam, why have you become this kind of person? A bitter laugh escaped me. What kind of person have I become? I wasn't one to suffer injustice silently. If they wanted to sling mud, they'd have to see if I'd let it stick. My voice turned icy. I've already told you, I haven't left the house this morning. If you don't believe me, check the security footage from my room. Kevin looked genuinely shocked. It was true. Most people didn't install cameras in their own bedrooms. But having grown up witnessing the darker side of the business world, I knew sometimes you needed irrefutable proof of your own innocence. Hearing this, Kevin immediately backpedaled. Liam, Mia misunderstood. Today's incident really has nothing to do with you. I'll explain everything to her. He tried to pull Mia away. I stepped forward, blocking their path. I raised an eyebrow at Kevin. Seeing is believing. It won't take long. I need to clear my name. Without waiting, I pulled out my phone and brought up the security feed, showing clearly that I hadn't left my room all morning. Now it was Mia's turn to look awkward. Liam, why didn't you just explain properly? I laughed coldly. I did explain. Did you believe me? I stepped towards Kevin. I don't care what games you're playing, but don't drag me into them. I came from a prominent family. I had my pride. Even though I loved Mia, I wouldn't debase myself begging for her affection. Mia quickly stepped in front of Kevin protectively. Liam, what are you doing? It was my mistake. It has nothing to do with him. Kevin shot me a smug look over her shoulder, triumphant. I was exhausted, unwilling to argue further. All right. Is there anything else? If not, please leave. Mia bit her lip, looking hurt, and glanced at me one last time. As they were about to leave, Kevin stopped. Mia, didn't we forget to invite Liam? Mia's eyes instantly brightened. She walked back to me, pulling an invitation from her bag. Liam, Kevin and I are getting engaged in 6 days. You have to come. Her delicate fingers held the red invitation out to me. I stared at it, my vision blurring, my eyes stinging. Engaged? Mia, oblivious to my turmoil, leaned happily against Kevin. Yes, my parents finally agreed this morning. Kevin said 6 days from now is an auspicious date. Kevin, seemingly regaining his confidence, puffed out his chest. Liam, you're Mia's brother. You absolutely must attend our engagement. I clenched my fists tightly, swallowing the bitterness rising in my throat, before finally reaching out and taking the invitation. Don't worry, I forced myself to say. I'll be there. They left, arm in arm. I stared after their retreating figures, my heart twisting as if pierced by knives. I pressed a hand hard against my chest, gasping for air as tears finally escaped, rolling silently down my face. No matter how much I wished it wouldn't, the day arrived. I put on the suit she had bought for me years ago and went to the venue. Kevin greeted me with a wide smile, holding a professional camera. Brother Liam, I heard you were in the photography club in college. You must be great with a camera. He feigned distress. The photographer I booked suddenly bailed on me. He thrust the camera into my hands. Today is Mia's most beautiful moment. I really want to capture it all. Could you help out? Despite his polite words, he gave me no chance to refuse. I took a deep breath and nodded. Okay. The engagement party began. I relentlessly took photos of the happy couple. Soon, even Kevin's friends, strangers to me, started asking for pictures. You take such good photos. Take some of me too. After 5 hours straight, I hadn't even had a sip of water. My stomach cramped sharply. I pressed a hand against it. Mia came over, noticing my discomfort. Liam, are you not feeling well? You should take a break. Kevin immediately wrapped an arm around her waist. We don't have another photographer today, Liam. I really want to document everything. We'll have to rely on you. He gave me a dismissive look. You're a grown man. Surely you're not that fragile? Mia, stunning in a vibrant red dress, looked breathtaking. My vision swam. Don't worry about me, I mumbled. She didn't ask again. She simply turned and walked away with Kevin. And I stood in the corner, feeling like a thief stealing glimpses of someone else's happiness. As Mia walked step by step towards Kevin on the stage, radiating joy, I couldn't take it anymore. I turned and walked out of the hotel. I dropped the red envelope containing my gift money, a generous sum wishing them lasting happiness, at the designated table and left without looking back. I went home, packed my passport, ID, and luggage, and left the city alone. Just before boarding the plane, my phone rang. It was Mia. It rang for a long time before stopping. A moment later, it rang again. Taking a deep breath, I answered. Liam, where did you go? Mia's sweet voice came through the line. I pressed my lips together. I've already left, Mia. Be happy. I didn't want to hear whatever else she had to say. I ended the call, removed the SIM card from my phone, and dropped it into a nearby trash bin. I looked out at the city where I had spent my entire life. Barring any unforeseen circumstances, I would never return. Pushing the thoughts away, I boarded the plane. The moment the plane touched down in a foreign land, an unexpected sense of relief washed over me. A heavy weight seemed to lift from my chest. As I exited the gate, I heard a familiar voice. Son, over here. I looked over and saw Mom waving enthusiastically. I hurried towards them. Mom. Dad. Dad gave me a reserved nod, but Mom's eyes were red. Oh, honey, look at you. You've lost so much weight. I didn't want them to worry. I forced a smile. Not at all. I think I've gained weight. You parents always think your kids are too thin. Dad chuckled. So, you finally decided to come abroad. Does that mean you're finally over that Mia girl? Everyone knew how I felt about Mia. My parents, of course, knew she was the reason I hadn't wanted to leave with them initially. Hearing his words, I paused. It dawned on me they probably didn't know about the engagement. She found someone she loves, I said quietly, deciding it was best to be clear. They're engaged now. Now it was my parents' turn to be stunned into silence. Mom recovered first, taking my cold hand in hers. Oh, honey, there are plenty of fish in the sea. My son is so wonderful, you'll have no trouble finding a lovely girl. Her voice was warm with reassurance. Mom will help you find someone great. In their eyes, I was always the best, no matter what. But right now, the thought of another relationship was the furthest thing from my mind. Chairman, Madam Chairman. A cool, clear voice interrupted us. I looked up. A young woman stood there, dressed in a perfectly tailored suit. She was petite and slender, but her face radiated determination. She was the complete opposite of Mia, who had been raised like a pampered princess, naive and sweet. Dad cleared his throat. Liam, let me introduce you. This is our assistant, Olivia Ning. I smiled politely and extended my hand. Hello, I'm Liam Chen. Olivia shook my hand firmly. Mr. Chen Jr., it's a pleasure. From now on, I'll be your assistant. This didn't surprise me. My parents bringing me abroad meant grooming me to take over the family business. Likewise, I replied. Looking forward to working together. She didn't say more, just offered a small, professional smile. For some reason, her smile felt incredibly reliable. Perhaps it was the inherent sense of security that came from a capable, strong woman. Olivia drove. I sat in the passenger seat, and my parents were in the back. Mom suddenly spoke. Liam, you might not know this, but Olivia went to the same university as you. She's your junior. I closed my eyes, rubbing my temples, answering distractedly. What a coincidence. I expected Olivia to remain silent, but she spoke up. Mr. Chen was quite the figure on campus back then. He certainly wouldn't remember me. She wasn't wrong. Back then, my world revolved around Mia. Everything else blurred into the background. I'd always had plenty of female attention. Once, a girl slipped me a love letter. Mia saw it and became incredibly upset. I explained countless times that I had no interest in the girl, but Mia remained jealous. I finally had to promise to avoid all other girls before she forgave me. If it hadn't been for that possessiveness, I might not have convinced myself she cared for me too. Mom continued, her tone laced with playful exasperation towards me. This boy has no taste. Then, addressing me again, Liam, don't underestimate Olivia just because she's young. She's incredibly capable. My mother had been a workaholic in her youth and rarely praised anyone. Her high regard for Olivia piqued my interest. I found myself studying her profile as she drove. I was still staring when we arrived. Mom tapped my shoulder. What are you doing? It's rude to stare at a young lady like that. I quickly averted my gaze. Just before getting out of the car, I suddenly asked, Assistant Ning, excuse me, do you have a boyfriend? My question seemed to startle everyone. I could feel my parents' curious eyes on me. Olivia, proving my mother's assessment right, quickly composed herself. Rest assured, Mr. Chen, I do not have a boyfriend. I nodded, relieved. That's good. I didn't elaborate. After the ordeal with Mia, I knew I needed to be careful about boundaries with colleagues, especially one I'd be working so closely with. I didn't want any room for misunderstandings. Back at the house they'd arranged for me, I slept for nearly a day and a night straight. Of course, I had no idea that back home, Mia Su was frantically searching for me. After I hung up on her at the airport, she refused to proceed with the ring exchange at her engagement party. She tried to leave, still in her dress, to find me. Kevin had tried to stop her, pleading, Mia, don't be willful. This is our engagement. But Mia, who usually adored him, shoved him to the ground. Others might not know why we chose today, but you do, don't you? She wrenched herself free and ran out, searching everywhere, calling my number repeatedly, only getting voicemail. She even used her family connections to try and locate me, but it was as if I had vanished. She eventually collapsed, lost and bewildered. When she got home, the housekeeper brought her the red envelope and a photo album I'd left as a gift. She tossed the money aside and frantically flipped through the album, filled with photos of us from childhood up to the present. I had intended to look through it with her on our wedding day. Now that day would never come. I left it for her to deal with as she wished. The red envelope contained 9,999 yuan, a traditional sum wishing the couple lasting happiness. The last photo in the album was one I'd taken at the engagement party earlier that day. She was smiling radiantly, looking incredibly beautiful. On the back, I had written, Mia, be happy every day. I can finally rest assured now. Her tears fell onto the picture. When Kevin found her like that, he tried to hold her, but she pushed him away violently. Leave me alone. Her mind was consumed by one thought. Liam had left. He didn't want her anymore. Naturally, I knew none of this. I was drowning in work overseas. My parents had dumped everything on me and promptly left for a long vacation, seemingly unconcerned about weather. I could handle it. Although I'd been exposed to the business growing up, the international operations were different from the domestic ones. Initially, I felt overwhelmed. Thankfully, Olivia Ning was exceptionally competent. With her by my side, I quickly got a handle on things. The pressure was immense. As the newly arrived heir, I needed to prove myself, achieve something significant to earn the respect of the existing teams. Throughout this intense period, Olivia was constantly there, working long hours, sacrificing weekends. She never complained. Day after day bled into the next. A month passed. My history with Mia felt like a distant memory, something from another lifetime. Unless I deliberately dwelled on it, she rarely crossed my mind. One evening, after finishing work late, I was walking towards my apartment building when I saw a figure huddled near the entrance. I froze. It was Mia. Her hair was messy, her eyes red and swollen. The moment she saw me, she stumbled forward and collapsed into my arms, sobbing. Liam, why did you just leave without a word? My hand hovered, wanting to pat her back comfortingly, but I stopped myself. I sighed. How did you get here? Mia bit her lip. Why did you leave like that? I thought. She trailed off, looking up at me with concern. If this had happened before, I would have been ecstatic. But now, I had moved on. I gently detached myself, adopting the role of a true older brother. You came all the way here? Do your parents know? She chewed on her lip again. Liam, give me an explanation. Why did you leave me? I knew her stubborn nature. She wouldn't let go until she got an answer. A bitter smile touched my lips. You're here, so you must know why, right? My feelings for her had never been a secret. She wasn't stupid. She must have known. I shrugged. I've let go, Mia. You were engaged. It's all in the past. I turned to leave, but she grabbed my arm. No, I'm not engaged. Liam, I didn't exchange rings. Her voice was frantic. I carefully extricated my arm. Whether you exchanged rings or not, what's done is done. Let's just part amicably. Liam, I just want to talk. Please, give me a chance. Reluctantly, I led her into a nearby coffee shop. Even though I didn't want to, I couldn't be completely cruel. We had history, our parents were friends. Her gaze clung to me. As soon as we sat down, she burst out. Liam, I didn't get engaged. The reason I agreed was because. Before she could finish, my eyes lit up as I spotted someone across the room. Assistant Ning. I called out, genuinely surprised to see Olivia there. Olivia walked over and slid into the seat beside me. She tilted her head slightly, her eyes questioning. I introduced them casually. Olivia, this is Mia, a younger sister of mine. I looked back at Mia. She was staring at me with wounded eyes, as if I were the one who had wronged her. The interruption had broken the tension. I turned back to Mia. You wanted to tell me something? You can say it now. Mia glanced at me, then at Olivia, then back at me. Overwhelmed, she suddenly grabbed her bag and ran out of the coffee shop. After she left, Olivia looked at me with a playful glint in her eyes. Your sweetheart ran off. Aren't you going to chase her? I met her gaze seriously. She's the old sweetheart. The current one didn't run off. She's right here beside me. I had to admit, Olivia possessed a powerful charisma. No matter how demanding the workload, she never complained. Tasks I deemed impossible would be completed perfectly and placed on my desk the next morning. I used to think my love for Mia was the real thing. Now, I realized it might have always been more of a protective, brotherly affection. What I felt for Olivia, that was different. That was falling in love. Olivia raised an eyebrow. Are you serious? I reached across the table, took her hand, pulled a ring box from my pocket, and knelt beside the table. I promise, I'm absolutely serious. I've truly fallen for you. I sensed Olivia felt something for me too. Olivia pressed her lips together. You know, she said softly. I actually knew you in college. But you never saw me. Her eyes held a hint of vulnerability. You were brilliant. I always tried to follow in your footsteps. A small smile touched her lips. I never imagined this day would actually come. I swallowed hard, my heart pounding, waiting for her answer. Olivia smiled properly then, a warmth spreading across her face. Since you like me too, let's give it a try. At that moment, my mind went blank with happiness. My hands trembled as I slipped the ring onto her finger, fumbling slightly in my nervousness. After our impromptu coffee shop date, I drove Olivia home before heading back to my own apartment. As I reached my door, I saw a dark shadow huddled near the entrance. My heart jumped, and my fists clenched instinctively. I approached cautiously. Just as I was about to react, the shadow spoke. Liam. Peering closer, I realized it was Mia, hiding in the corner. I sighed and unlocked the door, letting her in. I went to the fridge, got her a bottle of ice water, and grabbed one for myself, downing half of it in one go. When I turned around, she was crying silently. A wave of exhaustion washed over me. What is it you really want to say, Mia? Let's just get it all out now. I decided it was better to clear the air completely, to avoid lingering resentment. Mia looked up, her voice choked with tears. Liam, have you really forgotten what day it is today? I frowned, racking my brain. Olivia's birthday? Mine? My parents'? No. I looked at Mia blankly. She threw the water bottle onto the floor angrily. You used to remember all my important dates. It hit me then. It was the day her period usually started. In the past, I had been more attentive to her cycle and moods than she was herself, always. Ready with comforting words and hot water bottles. But since moving abroad, work had consumed me. I rarely thought of her, let alone these minor details. A dry chuckle escaped me. I'm not your boyfriend, Mia. Someone else will keep track of those things for you now. Her head drooped, but at my words, she looked up sharply, her eyes suddenly bright. Liam, are you jealous? I couldn't help the sarcastic tone. Do you really think I'm that pathetic? Mia realized her mistake and quickly tried to explain. Liam, the person I love has always been you. But you never confessed, and I was scared. That's why I used Kevin, to try and make you jealous, to make you realize. Her explanation sounded utterly ridiculous. I cut her off ruthlessly. So, you actually enjoyed having two men vying for your attention, didn't you? My voice was cold, claiming you wanted to make me jealous, that you felt insecure because I didn't confess. But you know perfectly well how much I cared. I remembered everything about you. I kept my life clear of other women for you. You weren't lacking security, Mia. You were just craving novelty. I knew her too well, having grown up alongside her. Mia's face grew paler and paler. The strength seemed to drain from her body, and she crumpled onto the floor. She shook her head frantically. No, that's not it. I just wanted you to make the first move. I crouched down, tilting her chin up forcefully, my voice chilling. Make the first move? You didn't know I loved you. I stared into her eyes. Mia, you're smart. Everyone around us could see it. Don't tell me you couldn't. Even as she shook her head in denial, I saw the flicker of guilt, of acknowledgement, in her eyes. I stood up. Go home, Mia. Her eyes widened in panic. She scrambled up, throwing her arms around me. No, I won't go. Liam, you still love me, don't you? No, I was wrong. Can't we start over? Please. Her voice trembled. Liam, you'll forgive me, right? Her eyes pleaded desperately. I remained silent. So, in your eyes, her voice cracked, filled with vulnerability. What do you take me for? Liam, a cool, clear voice called from the doorway. My head snapped up, relief flooding me. Olivia stood there. I decisively pushed Mia's arms away and walked over to Olivia, wrapping my arm around her waist. I looked back at Mia. This is my girlfriend, Olivia. You, Mia, are just my sister. Mia's face contorted, her expression hardening. Girlfriend? She repeated, her voice dangerously low. She lunged forward, trying to pull us apart, tears streaming down her face. No, the person you love is me. How could you find another girlfriend? Her words were ludicrous. She could chase novelty with a boyfriend, but I wasn't allowed my own happiness? I started to retort, but Olivia gave me a subtle look. I stayed silent, standing beside her. Olivia stepped towards Mia, her expression unreadable. Miss Sue, you grew up with Liam. You should know him better than I do. Her voice was calm, but firm. He's reserved when it comes to his feelings. He wouldn't make a move without being certain of your true intentions, out of respect for you. She paused, her gaze sharp. But what did you do? You claim you love him? On what grounds? Mia trembled violently, finally collapsing onto the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. Mia, Kevin burst through the door, rushing to her side. He scooped her into his arms, glaring daggers at me before carrying her out. I shrugged, unfazed. I didn't love Mia anymore. Their drama couldn't hurt me now. After they left, I turned to Olivia, my eyes intense. Why did you really come back? A blush crept up her neck. She stammered, I left something in your car. I came back to get it. I teased her gently. Really? Realizing I was teasing her, Olivia playfully punched my arm. I was just worried. I knew what she was worried about. My past feelings for Mia were strong and well known. But words felt inadequate right now. I rested my head on her shoulder. Assistant Ning, I murmured. Let's get married. It wasn't impulsive. I had thought about it deeply. Olivia didn't answer immediately. I pretended to be crestfallen. I'm not getting any younger, you know. Take pity on me. Olivia pressed her lips together, trying to suppress a smile. Finally, she gave in. After Olivia accepted my proposal, I threw myself into planning the wedding. I loved her deeply and wanted everything to be perfect, without any regrets. The night before the wedding, Olivia and I parted ways to prepare separately. When I entered my hotel suite, I sensed something was wrong immediately. Mia Sue was lying naked on my bed. Liam, she whispered, her voice small, I don't believe you don't have feelings for me anymore. She slid off the bed and clung to me tightly. I never imagined she could be so bold. I had intentionally kept the wedding details from her, fearing she might try to disrupt things. But our families had extensive business connections. It wasn't surprising she found out. I forcefully pulled her off me, pushing her onto the floor. Mia, we are just brother and sister. Stop doing things like this. Her eyes burned with resentment. I don't believe it. I don't believe you gave up on me so easily. She started hitting my chest with her fists. You said you loved me, but I never felt it. You're just scum. I stood still, letting her vent her frustration. Finally exhausted, she slumped onto the floor. Liam, is this really how it ends for us? I pulled a blanket from the chair and draped it over her bare shoulders. We will only ever be brother and sister, I stated firmly. I'm not one for regrets. When I decided to leave, I let go completely. There was no turning back. Mia kept her head down, quiet sobs shaking her body. When I returned to the room later, she had dressed and composed herself somewhat. She looked up at me, her eyes red-rimmed and hesitant. Brother, she asked timidly, can you hug me one last time? Her voice was full of pleading. I took a deep breath and gave her a brief, brotherly hug before quickly stepping back. She didn't say anything else, just turned and walked out of the room. I sighed, whispering inwardly, Sister, I hope you find happiness in the future. My wedding to Olivia was, naturally, a grand affair. Mia Sue did not attend. My entire focus was on Olivia anyway. It wasn't until after the wedding that I learned Mia had left the country the night before. It was probably for the best, saving everyone further awkwardness. Later, Olivia approached me, holding an envelope. Mia left this for you. I was surprised Mia would entrust Olivia with a letter for me. I shook my head. You read it for me. Now that I was married, I didn't want to do anything that might upset my wife. Olivia blushed furiously, pressing the letter into my hand. It's addressed to you, so you should be the one to read it. She looked up at me earnestly. Don't worry, I won't be jealous. I trust you. She gave me the letter and quickly retreated into the bathroom. I stared at the envelope for a long moment before finally opening it. Inside, there was only one sentence. Brother, wishing you a happy wedding. A small, wry smile touched my lips. I said nothing more. The chapter with Mia Sue was well and truly closed. From now on, we would only be brother and sister, nothing more. My life with Olivia, however, was just beginning. The past was behind us. Our future stretched bright ahead.